So India have sealed a 2-0 series win over Bangladesh, and although you can say that that's a series win that most people would have expected to get, it was still one that required India to work hard, and perhaps more importantly, one that raised a lot of concerns over the direction of the team, over team selections. There's plenty of things to talk about, and truth be told, you have to remember that nowadays with test matches taking place in the World Test Championship cycle, you're always looking at the series in that context. And remember, ahead of this particular series, you have the Bangladesh series, and now the 4-test series against Australia. That will be India's last, and obviously that I think will be a key series in determining not just India's fate in the WTC, but how it is that they may fare against their potential opponents.
Yes, in the finals as well, because remember, when you talk about the standings in the World Test Championship table right now, Australia are up top, and there's no moving them from that spot. That's number 1. 2, India, of course, are on number 2, but there is South Africa breathing down their necks. They're at number 3, and there is about a 4% gap between the two. But South Africa don't have any more tests after Australia, do they?
No, I think South Africa. No, I think they have 2 more tests, if I'm not wrong. We can check that if possible. South Africa.
We can check that. Yeah.
I think they have a couple more tests thereafter, and then that's it.
But the equation for India is simple. They need to win 3 out of the 4 test matches against Australia. Though that equation, so there's the caveat there, because there is an evolving situation in Australia. They're playing them right now. If South Africa lose the other test matches as well, then of course that changes, and India may not essentially need 3 test wins against Australia. But we're here to talk about the concerns for Team India ahead of that crucial series. The last assignment for Team India ahead of in this cycle, let's just say, of the World Test Championships. And of course, there are a few concerns for Team India, I would say, after that test series win, which are there right now.
I mean, they were laid there very badly.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that India won shouldn't take away from the fact that there were things that, looked very concerning. I mean, at one point yesterday on December 25th, it did look like, for all intents and purposes, that India were heading towards a test match loss.
Yes.
Now that loss would have hurt them really badly, because again, it would have dropped down their percentage points, win percentage points considerably.
And then you would have needed 4 wins out of 4 against Australia, which is just unlikely.
Exactly.
Just highly unlikely. You possibly won't even get odds for such a scoreline. But having said that, it is of course very, very crucial now for us to talk about the concerns for India, because if you ask me, there are not just one, there are multiple concerns.
And I think the first thing which we have to mention is the fact that India's top order at this point looks very, very shaky. The top order hasn't, I mean, you had 1 ton from Pujara, 1 ton from Gill. And I'm willing to give Gill a lot longer of a rope, because he's not someone who's gotten regular game time in any format, including test matches. He's there when there's a hole to fill.
Absolutely.
And that's that. But he was
he's
probably
made
one
a
of
case for himself. He's made a case for himself. And but that's the problem. You don't know if Shreyas Iyer will in fact feature in that final if India are playing, because that's how precarious things are with the selection.
I think Shreyas would be one of the people who would be here, more nailed on.
There is no reason to take him off. There is absolutely no reason. But having said that, yes, he's done enough. There is no doubt about that. He's done enough.
Even Pant for that matter.
Even Pant for that matter. See, Pant's made the test format his own. Very unlike his reputation, let's say, of being a hitter of the ball. You thought he'd make a career in white ball cricket. But as it turns out, it is the red ball format in which he is thriving as a batter, at least one can say. But talking about concerns here, yes,
I mean, look,
that
Pujara
top
came into
order,
the series, remember, not having gotten a ton in 52 odd innings. And I think he's saw a lot of criticism that he would have gotten from people saying, look, he can't perform in conditions except if they're home-like conditions. So then he goes out and has a poor series in conditions that are very much like home-like conditions. So
also having a closer look at, let's say, Virat's numbers, he is by all means the fulcrum of your batting order, and his numbers have been abysmal to say the least.
I mean,
I can't even say underwhelming to make it sound mild, because the numbers in Test cricket for Virat Kohli of late have been abysmal. He's averaging in the 20s in the last couple of years, if I'm not wrong. So his numbers, in fact, the only player in India's top 3 who does average a little over 40 is Rohit Sharma, and that's not because of the numbers right now. It was the goods that he delivered, let's say in 2020, 2021. I'm talking about the 20 to 22. So 3 cycles I'm talking about over 3 seasons. Virat Kohli's average has dropped massively. Rohit Sharma somehow manages to be in the 40s, but at the same time, those aren't good numbers for a Virat Kohli, a KL Rahul, and the top order woes have just multiplied. You saw that in this series as well. Virat failed to give you confidence.
Correct.
And even though he looked very good in the 4th innings at Mirpur, he blocked the balls well. He was coming close to the ball. But again, it was some misjudgment from him, which is why you saw him nick one to short leg.
Exactly.
So yeah, there are absolutely concerns in the top order. You're also not sure what your top order looks like right now, because KL Rahul's again taken a break. We know, as reports have suggested, that he's possibly not going to be available for the first couple of weeks or maybe 3 weeks off.
Probably not the January.
The 6 matches that we are playing against Sri Lanka, the series which I think ends on the 18th of January.
I don't doubt he'll be available.
So yeah, I doubt. And by the way, for all the family members watching right now, the selection news might come tomorrow.
Do you know for sure?
Yes. As was reported earlier as well, both by Sports Today and AajTak, we are expecting that team news to come in tomorrow. But having said that, one has to say that these concerns have been there for a while now, and it is surprising how we've not failed to address them, especially ahead of such a big series.
And that's the thing. I mean, to be fair, we've always had this notion that when it comes to Indian cricket, you have to have something cataclysmically disastrous happen for people of a change to be forced. And you're not, in fact, seeing that change happen, because, I mean, truth be told, you're seeing someone like a Gill. I mean, you can say that, he played the second test only because Rohit was declared unfit.
Yeah, you wouldn't have. See, remember, Rohit Sharma is your all-format captain now.
Exactly.
So you can't use the word quote unquote, the word dropped for him. Yes, of course, he suffered an injury in the slip cordon while he was fielding, and which is why he wasn't available. He's also presently being given treatment at the NCA, if I'm not wrong. But having said that, even Gill, you make a very valid point, Shane, that even Gill, wouldn't have ended up getting his first 100 if it wasn't for Rohit's injury.
And he wouldn't have been playing the second test after getting his 100 if Rohit was ruled fit. Remember, he had only been ruled out of the first test after that freak thumb injury. If he was ruled fit, then 100% you were not dropping your vice captain who was leading you in the first match.
Absolutely. So, of course, the selection committee, the new selection committee, which is also yet to be announced.
I mean, I've read news reports that even the squads for the Sri Lanka and New Zealand series are being announced by the old selection committee, because they haven't got the new selection committee yet. Exactly. It's imagine you fired someone from a job.
Exactly, and if I'm not wrong, 28th of November was the deadline for application submission for the role of the selectors. But a month on, we don't have a selection committee, and we've got two, if not two, definitely one big series coming up. Of course, all eyes will be on the selectors. Will they drop Rohit Sharma, or will they drop KL Rahul is something we'll have to wait and watch.
Fair, even if he's not playing, he's not been dropped. He's rested.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't use the word dropped also for KL Rahul for another fortnight, so to say, because you'll have to then wait and watch what the selectors decide for the Australia series, and that will be an indication of what the new selection committee really is wanting from this team, and what they have or what sort of horizon they have in mind as far as test cricket goes.
Absolutely. And I think, to be fair, if you're talking about the concerns which India had, I think team selection is one concern that has been bothering or eating at us for a long time at this point. You saw the worst sides of it even in this series. Kuldeep Yadav gets a 5 for. gets 8 out of the 20 wickets
in the first
match,
test,
and then gets dropped. And I mean, to be fair, you want to say, okay, yes, maybe there's other grass at Mirpur, and thought maybe the seamers will get some assistance. But by the time it was the second day, Taskin Ahmed, when he was bowling, was already getting low bounce. And if you look at the fifth day, there were barely any seamers who bowled. Fourth day. Not even the fifth day. Didn't get to a fifth day. There were barely any seamers bowling. So I don't understand what the thought process was. And I saw a lot of people.
Also, this makes me wonder if not for the first, but for the second time in about 2 months, India have failed to
read the conditions.
I'm talking about the semi-final against England as well.
Correct.
Remember, India's composition then was starkly different to that of England.
Correct.
England were not just because we were taken by surprise as to how England said that we're going to make India bat first. Rohit Sharma said we would anyway have wanted to bat first.
Which means the plans were.
And we were playing at Adelaide, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So again, Rohit Sharma saying that we would have anyway done that tells you a thing or two about what India had in mind as far as reading the conditions is concerned. The match that ended yesterday also, you thought that India had read the conditions well, but look, it was the host who had actually done the right thing by playing not one, not two, but three spinners.
And to be fair, that's always been the trend in Mirpur. I do not recall a single test match happening at Mirpur where the Bangladesh team...
it's their fortress. It is.
And Bangladesh always, whenever they go in, they're always going in with three spinners. So we chose to do so. I didn't think, see it as a tactical masterstroke. But even if you had to drop a spinner, would you drop the spinner who got a fifer?
Fifer, exactly.
I mean, if you wanted to, if you saw Akshar as this thing, then I would argue that someone like Ashwin can play more or less the same role. Lower order bat, handy lower order bat, can bowl you over a spin. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, I didn't see any reason to drop Kuldeep, and I was very flummoxed by KL Rahul's post-match comment where he said, if we had the impact rule player here, then we would have brought him in, but we didn't misread the conditions, bro.
And it's not a decision we regret. That's what he said as well.
I mean, come on. On the second day itself, when Taskin was bowling, you could see the ball was starting to die on the pitch, which in itself showed that by the time it reached the third, fourth, and fifth days, that pitch was going to be assisting a crazy amount of spin. And someone like Mehdi, who, all due respect, as a bowler, has, at least in white ball cricket, always been seen as someone who can plug a gap. You need to get a few good overs out. Okay, let's get Mehdi there. He'll not concede too many runs. Won't get too many wickets. He's taking a fifer against you. And that credit to the guy. He used the conditions.
See, he bowled well in those conditions. He made the most out of those conditions. Also credit to... Shakib as well for having the right field positions.
I think was very attacking.
And very tactical in the way he had deployed his fielders. So credit to Bangladesh, in fact, for giving India such a good fight. But having said that, India in many ways were digging their own grave. They almost dug their grave. It was again Shreyas Iyer and Ashwin who got you out of trouble. But time and time again, you're asking too much of your middle order.
You play a lower
middle order, because your top order isn't firing. And for how long can this continue? This, in fact, was something we saw in the T20 World Cup as well.
Because something you saw in just this match only. If not for Shreyas and Pant having those 80 odds, India would have struggled.
I think 7, 6, 9 and 1. These are the scores of the top 4, if I'm not wrong.
Exactly. So it wasn't great. It didn't look good at all.
And the mindset as well. I don't know. Again, against Australia at home, I don't expect India to have the same mindset. But having said that, the mindset with which, and that was what Wasim Jafar was also pointing out. He said that this defensive mindset is something that sort of baffled him, because remember, Bangladesh played with intent. They took you on, and that's why they were able to get those runs as well. Because India had Bangladesh by their throat.
And then they again chose
it was for India to in fact, just close it out. Absolutely close it out. You had them at 26 for 4 or something. And after that, see, having partnerships is all okay. But having said that, and there were 2 partnerships that took the innings and the Bangladesh scored to 231. Just 4 better than what they managed in the first innings. But having said that, you've got to, as a top side contending for a place in the World Test Championships, you wouldn't want to crawl to victory, especially let's say against Bangladesh. Again, respect for them,
but they're the 9th team in the WTC
Absolutely. And if you're somebody who's up top on the table, you expect there to be, let's say, some rather some a convincing manner in which you would want to win these matches as
In
well.
fact, neither of the
They
matches
weren't
were
clinical.
convincing. None of the matches were convincing.
Yeah, again the scoreline would suggest that the first test match maybe India were all over Bangladesh.
But they weren't. It went to a fifth day.
It went to the 5th day.
The only time they were clinical was on the fifth day when they wrapped up the match in 58 minutes. Beyond that, they didn't really look clinical. In fact, I thought if Bangladesh had to bat sensibly, they may have found themselves back in the game on the last day. Because again, Chattogram, that pitch really didn't have too many demons.
Yeah.
It didn't. In fact, as the test match went on, I would argue it became easier to bat.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, but just talking a little more about intent again, you would want to see. Of course, you want your top order to fire against Australia, because otherwise you're in deep trouble. Australia might as well just take the series,
At least 2-3-0.
At least 2-3-0 if this top order doesn't sort of spring into action. But for it to happen, you need intent. As has been pointed out so many times, this Indian team is not giving the confidence, and as a result, in the T20 format, you were expecting Surya or Hardik to get you out of trouble. In the Test format, then we saw again top order wasn't contributing. You expected, let's say, an 8th wicket stand, 71 run stand yesterday is what we saw from Shreyas Iyer and Ravi Ashwin, and you're leaving way too much, and also 145 wasn't a big target. You wanted the target to be you wanted to have chased that target with some conviction, I would say. And again, if you're a top test side, you've got to be clinical at times. My problem is you've not been convincing and clinical enough over this test cycle for sure.
And that's the problem. That's the thing when it comes to we're seeing a way or a change in the way test cricket is played. The best of teams are very, very attacking. And truth be told, I think India's taken a step back in that regard, because under Virat, they look to attack.
Yes.
They look to play positive cricket. Right now, I think it's regressive, reactive cricket, and that does not bode well against the side of Australia's quality.
And interestingly, if I have that number right in my mind, I think India played 7 tests. We didn't play a lot of test cricket. So we played about 7 tests this year.
Did we play 7 also? I mean,
we played 2. It started with
South Africa.
1 against England.
That's 3. And then you had 2 against Bangladesh. That's it.
Did we play?
You didn't. That's the thing. It was entirely a year of ODIs and in fact T20Is more often than not. See, because again, unless I think you maybe had a Sri Lanka or West Indies.
I think you played 2 against Sri Lanka.
Yes, that was.
So that makes it 7, I believe.
Yeah, but beyond that.
So in those 7, what I was trying to say was, in those 7 matches, you've had 3 different captains. You had KL, you have had Rohit,
and you've had Jasprit Bumrah as well.
If in fact you had Kohli as well.
Kohli as well, if you go by the series, because it's South Africa.
Yes.
So it's been a weird
there's
time.
been captaincy changes. At times you've not been able to play your 11 because of injuries. So
you also kind of flip-flopped on, at one point it looked like, okay, Chiteshwar Pujara's test career is done.
Yeah.
Rahane's looks 100% done, especially considering the fact that Shreyas Iyer has been performing the way he has.
And he's getting picked in the IPL also, so definitely.
I think his test career seems done. And then, Pujara went to county. He was playing the county second division, got some big runs
over there.
Got some good daddy hundreds, and then suddenly forced his way back into contention.
And by the way, he played at a faster rate as well over there.
Yes, exactly. But of course, you also have to see that the second division county, the level is a little lower. I would expect an international level batsman to go on there and dominate. So he didn't do any more than what I expected of him. And speaking of course, concerns, I think for me, that would be the other major thing. And, look, you note for a fact that it's a home series. You're going to get some dusty tracks.
You're going to get some spin balls, dust balls for sure.
But again, I do not see this Australia side as one that can be taken too lightly. Even keeping that in mind, especially considering the fact that they'll have a certain Nathan Lyon in their own ranks. So, to sum things up, and we'll start taking a few comments now, there's a lot of concerns still, and truth be told, I'm not sure when they get resolved, considering this really was your second last, it's your penultimate test series of this cycle. The final one being Australia, which should be your biggest litmus test.
In this cycle, I would say.
In this cycle. because they are the top side in the World Test Championship.
And they're the side to beat right now.
Yeah. Them in
And
England.
you want to be challengers.
Them in England. And don't forget,
Exactly.
England, you will be playing a series at home
But in the second half of the
in
year.
2024, January. By that point, I am almost fearful as to what that England team is becoming.
Exactly.
The baseball lads.
I think baseball will be in their DNA
full
if
flow.
at all.
If it isn't already. Yeah.
Exactly. It'll be further deep into the system. And again, if Joe Root's getting 100, at a faster rate, Ben Stokes of course does that
frequently
and time again. But again, worrisome signs. Zach Crowley is attacking. Everyone's just attacking. They're playing a different brand of cricket.
And they've really bought in. That's the thing. There's a collective buy-in from the players. And they're kind of said that, and I saw this a lot actually happen with their white ball team as well. When Morgan first came in post 2015 and he said, look, we have to play this way. If you stick to it, you will be successful. You might lose a few games, but you'll win more often than not. Yeah. And that's what happened. That's why there was a collective buy-in. That's why you saw stars like Butler rise to the top.
And also veterans, let's say like Joe Root, also adapt. Again,
exactly.
Because if you don't, you're going to just fall by the sideline. Again, you got to adapt to what the management, the vision of the team, let's say.
Exactly. Anyway, let's take a few comments. You have Dipinder Singh, thank you very much. Guru Karthik Sai is saying that India has the best resources than anyone, but fails miserably due to the stars presence. See, I would put it down not to just that, but also poor planning. I don't think that, like, if you look at the way England and Australia plan there's a very clear-cut vision. Yeah. And there's a dedication to said vision. If you ask me today, what is the Indian team's vision? I can't give you an answer.
See, because we don't have any evidence to say that this is India's vision.
Exactly.
Because we say something in press conferences.
You say, we'll play aggressive cricket.
Exactly, but something else happens. So, which is why, the right way of saying this is you don't have a vision at the moment that can be spelled out.
Yeah, you can't spell it out. Like if you show someone who's not familiar with cricket and say, okay, how do these guys play? They'll be like, okay, we can't tell you. If you show someone who's familiar with white ball cricket, a baseball era England, they'll say, they are looking to be aggressive.
Gung-ho.
It's pretty evident.
The gung-ho approach.
Exactly.
That's what they know and that's what they do.
Aditya Mohanty with one of his many cheeky comments saying, why is Shreyas Iyer playing so well? He might get dropped in the next match.
Well, Aditya Mohanty, we play a T20 series first against Sri Lanka, then followed by 3 ODIs. Is he referring to the Australia series though?
Yeah, because he's saying it as a joke more than anything else. Look, he's playing so well, like Kuldeep, he might get dropped. Although I think, considering the fact that they don't have a number 5 beyond him, I think it works in his favor.
I don't think you're going to try Suryakumar Yadav at this stage now.
At this stage, hell no.
Even though he's playing Ranji right now.
And I think he wants to play Test cricket.
Yes.
But obviously, I think that has to take some time.
But you won't want to complicate situations for yourself now. And Shreyas Iyer, again, you can't be looking beyond that guy right now.
I mean, 7 tests, his numbers are very impressive.
Exactly. So, he's in rich vein of form in both ODIs as well as Test
cricket. Even his T20 numbers aren't bad, but that very obvious weakness of short ball bowling has kind of short-charged
is exposed in world cricket at the moment. But again, he's been working on it, and the couple of short balls as well that we saw him play. In the ODIs,
he was in better control.
Exactly. Looked like he was in better control, and it doesn't sort of phase him
as much as it
did.
Said even during IPL 2022,
yes,
you saw Umran set him up very nicely.
Very nicely, yes. That in fact was one of the moments of the tournament for me. The way Umran, a youngster like Umran, sort of set him up. But again, he was short of confidence as well.
Yeah, he definitely was. I don't think under pressure, new franchise, leading the team. There's going to be that thing. Anyway, Meet Soni says, who's the vice captain in the Sri Lanka T20 series? Don't give a name of Pant. Will we see a new VC? First off, Meet, I couldn't quite tell you who even the captain would be. Because there
you don't know about Rohit's injury.
Yeah, there are rumors that I think now the team is going to make a call and take Hardik.
Yes.
But I mean, will he be named captain officially?
If you want to do that, probably this is the right time, because again, then it's not the strongest Sri Lanka coming home. That's number one.
When have they ever been? I mean, no disrespect, but
no disrespect. Again, we lost to them in the Asia Cup. Let's not forget.
But that was also as much down to us shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, but
we don't know yet. Squad we have. He's normally there.
But he doesn't make the 11. Huh?
Could very well
What's
be
he saying?
actually. He's saying that Shreyas might be the vice captain if they really go by this thing. I mean, who knows?
Perhaps.
But I think he's not a guaranteed starter, so may not be him. But anyway,
Rishabh Pant?
yeah, Pant is not a guaranteed starter either right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're not sure. That's the thing because normally Hardik would have been my VC, but he might just be the C. So,
He might just be the C, exactly.
Anyhow, let's take a few more comments. KD Rajput, just to go slightly up. Saying that more or less the selection committee will be the same, just one or two members.
That's
will
right.
change.
That's
Yes, KD Rajput, it does in fact seem like that will be the case because I don't see, like most of the people who've applied, a lot of them are the same. So, Guru Karthik Sai says that MS Dhoni built the ODI World Cup team of 2011, I'm assuming, from 2008. This team is still experimenting. I mean, yes, agreed. There's too much experimentation.
There's too much experimentation, but one thing, which we didn't see back then and we are seeing it all too frequently right now is the repetitive injuries. And that's what is hurting India when you play these bilateral series because you don't have a time wherein two back-to-back series, let's say,
where you have the same
where
squad.
you have the same squad or you have the same playing 11. In fact, it's in back-to-back matches in the same series at times we've seen India play different sides. So that's also one of the reasons I would say that differs, let's say, from the time that Dhoni built his team to the time right now where Rohit's trying to do something. I don't know about the building bit, but yeah.
Yudhivir Huda has something interesting when he points out that the Indian cricket team is now a marketing platform for IPL franchises. They need their big players to be in the team for marketing revenue to IPL franchise. See, again, I understand where it is you're coming from, and truth be told, it is very uncomfortable to see just how, IPL centric our team is. But I think the current teams right now, they are selected by some degree of logic. But I think, as in the squads, the squads, even the squads, I'll have a few questions here or there because again, I think if it was just down to IPL performances, you'd see, I think, other players there in the fray as well.
But yes, that's not to say that IPL performances aren't taken into consideration.
No, I think they very much are.
Exactly, because if that wasn't the case, then Dinesh Karthik would not have made a comeback to international cricket. Let's be honest about that.
Absolutely. Mayank Thapliyal says that why are Bangladesh still called minnows? Over recent years, they've developed into a quality international side. Correct, Mayank, but that's mostly in white ball cricket. In test cricket, they have never really, climbed to any considerable heights whatsoever. And truth be told, I mean, you can call a team a minnow who are currently sitting 9th in a 9-team World Test Championship. AR has a super chat says that Virat's overall test average is below 50. It hits hard. I mean, we were doing
some below 50 AR for a while now. In fact, it's been. It wasn't just this series, I believe. It before the series as well.
If you look at his overall thing now, it's to be fair, it's dropped a lot, and unfortunately, that is the reality of where he stands.
As fans, as people who watch the game closely, yes, of course, it hurts. But let's just hope for there to be a similar resurrection in test cricket and test form
to be fair,
as well.
his ODI and one day, his ODI and T20 form came back. I mean,
is a revival. We can say that the revival is pretty much complete.
But he needs to do it in test cricket now. And to be fair, again, there's no weak teams that he can actually plunder some runs against. This was supposed to be that series, but now it's only Australia. So I think you're really hoping for the best.
You're hoping for the best, and you're hoping, as Virat Kohli, let's say, showed the world, about his mettle in class in tough situations. He loves playing against Australia. We all know that.
Yes.
And this may just be the perfect occasion for him to bounce back into form in red ball cricket.
Right. So again, I think this should bring an end to our discussion this time around. Clearly still a lot of concerns, but also more importantly, clearly a lot of cricket still to go. Because again, don't forget, before the Australia series, you have 3 ODIs, 3 T20Is against Sri Lanka, 3 ODIs, 3 T20Is against New Zealand. So the Indian cricket calendar never stops, and that means neither will we when it comes to discussing the sport with you all. For now though, we're taking your leave, but thank you all so much for joining us. Again, don't forget, if you enjoy our work, you can like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, tap the bell icon, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And also don't forget to download the Sports Thing app. So on behalf of Harshit and me, Shane, thank you all for joining us on this edition of the Live Dugout. See you all tomorrow. Bye bye.